Every single year, a small group of daring scientists, well-known doctors, and their rich type 2 diabetic patients travel to the remote Sadri village of Rajasthan, India, to experience a sacred Indian ritual, a 3,000-year-old mystic blood sugar lowering solution that every ex-diabetic who has experienced it called it life-giving. As the 95-year-old Swami sits by the fire, crushing together long-stemmed herbs in a clay bowl, they know that right before their eyes, the sweet type 2 diabetic relief miracle is coming to life. Tears of happiness run down the cheeks of these type 2 diabetic sufferers who sold an arm and a leg to get rid of the life-threatening disease that's been chipping at their health for tens of years. Limb-crushingly painful neuropathy, dangerous blood sugar dips, pincushion fingertips, and the threat of imminent amputation looming over your head. All gone. Because of the Swami's secret mix that could lower blood sugar in seconds, release insulin, and increase the body's sensitivity to it, all while stabilizing their weight, blood pressure, and even melting away the crushing pains in your legs. You see, when the Rika tribe are not herding camels, they're hosting an exclusive ceremony that just a few lucky wealthy people have access to. And fortunately for you today, I'm giving out the secret that they paid top dollar for, in exchange for a few minutes of your time. More than 64,000 people before you were absolutely stunned, as morning after morning, they ate something that the Swami fed the camels, and they lowered their blood sugar in days and dumped their doctor-prescribed pills in the garbage just 21 days later. The answers I'm about to reveal will also change everything you think is true about your blood sugar spikes. You see, the only reason doctors think that type 2 diabetes is something normal is because it's so common. 34.2 million people, or 10.5% of the U.S. population, have type 2 diabetes. But while it may be common, in no way is it natural or normal, as you'll soon discover. Also, what nobody wants you to know is that a stable blood sugar level is not because of God's blessing or genetics. As the latest scientific evidence shows, if you want an insulin-free life, you don't have to graze on salads or jog 2 hours a day and have the body of a supermodel. You don't have to have the metabolism of a 19-year-old in order to eat whatever you want. And you definitely don't need any useless pills that merely manage your problem without ever offering a solution. As we speak, your body is turning on itself, messing your insulin flow and clogging your arteries, all because it's deprived by a key brain substance. But once you'll find what this key nutrient is, you'll be able to take control of your blood sugar level in no time. In the next 5 minutes, you'll discover the simple urine test you can do at home that will show you what's really behind your blood sugar imbalances, how you can fix these imbalances with a 30-second morning hack that a disease-free tribe has been doing for 3,000 years, why camels may hold the key to instantly regulating insulin. That side effect-filled metformin actually guarantees that you will never produce insulin on your own ever again. Backed by countless peer-reviewed medical studies from around the world, from prestigious Ivy League medical schools like Yale and Harvard to the groundbreaking Middle Eastern diabetes research centers, the clinically proven and highly controversial blood sugar fix that I'm about to reveal will also come with a whole bunch of great advantages. Endless energy, rapid weight management, and an increased confidence. So please listen up, because time is running out. If you're over 30 and have a gut feeling that you definitely should not be guzzling down fistfuls of pills while also carrying around your bag of shame full of needles and vials of insulin, or hiding in bathroom stalls at restaurants because you dared to touch a tasty dessert, if you're always stressed because you never know when those cold sweats and shivers will hit next, if you're over 30 and feel judged and shamed for something you're not in control of, it's crucial you stay with me until the end, because this presentation could save the life of you or someone you love. Of course, I don't want you to simply take my word for it. Instead, I want you to hear from some of the 64,000 other people whose lives have done a complete 180 by testing themselves at home and following pure logic and studies that confirm for good what I have to show you today. Here's what Maxell H had to say. I am 4 months off my shots, and I swear I never thought this day will come. I've turned 53 this year, and as with most things when you age, I expected it to become even worse. But luckily, even though sometimes I can be extremely headstrong, this time I patiently listened to you, and after doing the test myself, I was sold. So I don't think I could ever thank you enough for saving me. Or listen to Chris, who wrote, I honestly felt humiliated. One time I had to do my shot in the bathroom at work right before a meeting. A colleague walked in and started a rumor about me using drugs in there. I know most people are not that ignorant, but it could have seriously hurt my career. Plus, it's so unhygienic to do it in a filthy environment like that. I wanted a way out, and luckily, when given the chance, I didn't click out of the page. I am now 6 months drug-free, and I couldn't believe that it was that easy. Thank you. Clarissa also wrote to us to say, both I and my daughter, who had just turned 30, were diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. I always said that if something had happened to me, I wouldn't care, but for her, that young, I was convinced that it was something genetic. If you still believe that yourself, I think your mind is about to change. I am so grateful that right now she is off her insulin shots, and I just threw away my last blisters of metformin after giving your method a chance for just 2 months. And last but not least, here's what Dave had to share with us. I was so skeptical and angry at the thought that you may be right. I mean, it's crazy, I know, but I just was ready to send you an angry email for even suggesting that I could solve on my own what none of my other 20 physicians I've seen since 1998 couldn't. But I watched the entire video, and you were so right. I did the test, and 5 minutes later, I was already back on your page to write down the specifics and get rid of my pills. I am now 2 weeks in, and I'm feeling great. Now, stories like the ones you just read are awesome, but they are not unique. I get dozens of calls, hundreds of emails and texts every single day from men and women across the world, and they all agree that this blood sugar fix I'm about to share is absolutely life-changing. In fact, I know personally just how life-changing this can be as well. Hello, my name is Jonathan Garner, and since 1995, when I graduated from Yale University, I worked for 10 years as an endocrinologist and for another 20 years as a molecular biophysics and biochemistry researcher at the Yale Diabetes Research Center. For 2 decades, I had the pleasure of working with some of the brightest minds in this field, and I've seen tens of game-changing drugs take birth, as well as how these drugs are being tested before being launched. My passion for our molecular structure led to me being seen as a traitor by Big Pharma and their pawns in the medical world. You see, I was running a study on a popular drug back in the late 90s. I had my suspicions that the drug was pushed out way too quickly and that the FDA had approved it without proper testing for its side effects. If you're a longtime sufferer, you may have heard of troglodytazone. Troglodytazone was the first in its category to be approved by the FDA, so my natural curiosity was, of course, warranted. By March 2000, the FDA had received tens of reports of hepatic failure cases resulting in death in patients treated with the drug. And shortly thereafter, the drug was removed from the market very much on the hush-hush. But I always felt guilty that I hadn't pushed back hard enough, and that I hadn't been able to fight this 7-headed monster I call the Big Pharma Corp. Also, every drug I would work on would always have side effects. And every single night, as I was getting ready for bed, I felt like I was washing away their blood off my hands. It's not easy for all scientists to see people as statistics, and that's why 2 years ago, I joined a startup down in Silicon Valley that had a mission I could embrace: side effect-free blood sugar support for all. I was hired as their lead drug development specialist, and I wasted no time in cracking down on a solution. 10 or 15 years ago, we would never have guessed that we would be able to employ AI or artificial intelligence to pore through databases that would take a regular human hundreds of years to read through and sift through results. But that is what I was promised, and that's what these bright minds delivered. My mission no longer seemed possible when I was sitting side by side to stuffy old men with stuffy old minds. Metformin seemed like the solution to them, but I just saw it as the fraud it was. One study found that during a 5-year span, out of 4,072 patients, metformin caused a total of 9 deaths, 32 cases with life-threatening signs or symptoms and residual disability, and 187 cases with moderate clinical effects. You know what those people are to the scientific medical community? Negligible amount. They make no impact in the greater scheme of things, which is their sales numbers. Now, before I go on, you must know that 99% of the doctors out there think it's normal for most Americans over the age of 30 to develop a blood sugar imbalance. And in one way, they're right. The statistics speak for themselves. Nearly 2 in 10 Americans have type 2 diabetes, while 1 in 3 have prediabetes and haven't even been diagnosed yet. And the only reason doctors think it's normal is because this is so common. But, while it may be common, it's not natural, as you'll soon discover. Now, the life of a researcher, especially in this sensitive field, is not an easy one. I've stepped on many toes throughout my career, and I'm sure the big ties won't be happy to see me exposing them for what they are: money-hungry monsters. But I told you something in the beginning, right? That I know how it feels like to struggle with this beast. See, 2 years ago, I was in the lab when a cold, unexplainable sweat hit me. I felt both ravenous and sick, as if I were about to throw up all at once. Was I dying? Well, almost. I was on the point of slipping into a type 2 diabetic coma. Now, if you were lucky enough not to have had it yet, then let me tell you, it was the single most scariest experience of my life. Within seconds, I had dropped to the ground and banged my head on a table on the way down. As I was alone for at least 10 to 15 minutes, I was nearing death with each passing second. I obviously evaded its cold embrace, but I was left with a minor brain injury that caused slight paralysis of my left hand, which took over $25,000 worth of physical therapy to get rid of. And no doctor could even explain why that even happened to me. They agreed I was taking really good care of me. I thought that I was living my life perfectly. I mean, I'd start my day with a green smoothie. I'd go for a run around the neighborhood now and then. I would eat salad and a source of protein for lunch and dinner. And I would always snack on healthy nuts, seeds, or berries. Well, according to everything my doctor would tell me, I should never have fallen prey to the very disease I was investigating. You see, that was the proverbial kick in the arse that I had needed to get me to go out of the lab and look for a fix. At that point, I was convinced that I will never place even one pill in my mouth. You see, it's my firm belief that nature always has a treatment for every human illness, and that a true researcher should be out there in the field, not just hidden behind the books. After looking death into the eyes, I took the decision that would change my faith and the faith of millions. I sold my house, my belongings, gave up my job, and began traveling across the world, determined to win the fight with this horrible disease or die trying. So, 1 month after my type 2 diabetic coma, I was on my feet and prepared to go on site and see from my eyes the remote areas of this planet where type 2 diabetes was not normal. From the deep pine forests of Japan to the mountains of Tibet and India or the Australian outback, I've seen and heard it all. During these trips, I've investigated hundreds of plants and herbs and got first-hand knowledge on what works and what not. My concern was locating the root cause and nailing down blood sugar fluctuations in place. I needed something that worked. Some of the plants that I've seen are known only to a handful of researchers, such as the banaba tree's leaves for the African tribes. And some of them are more familiar, such as pine bark extract, which many people love and praise. And after testing hundreds, if not thousands, of such rare plants and essential herbs in all their forms, freshly picked, grinded, dried, mixed in bitter tinctures, and even fiery creams, every single experiment and rigorous trial led me to the same conclusion. While some of these plants were indeed scientifically proven to help people either lower or raise their blood sugar level, lose weight, and manage insulin production without shots, none of them actually managed to truly teach the body how to do it for itself long term. The future looked bleak, and for the first time in my whole career, I felt I had nothing to show for all my work. I would wake up beaming with energy in the morning and having to prick my finger by lunch out of fear the coma would strike again. But even though I was a scientist, I still believed in miracles. I mean, honestly now, did I even have a choice? I knew what happened to people who had type 2 diabetes. I could quote all stages and complications. But when it happens to you, you have to believe you are not going to end up like everyone else, right? Well, I must have done something right in my life because just 1 week later, I got an email from a former patient of mine who knew just how desperate I was to find something for all of us type 2 diabetics out there. And he had a lead for me. The first line of the email read, "I know this will sound absolutely crazy, but you have to listen to me." And absolutely nothing could have prepared me for what I was about to read next. For what you have done for me, and for the care and empathy you showed, I feel the need to tell you what I did. 2 months ago, I paid an arm and a leg to fly to India and attend a jungle diabetic ceremony. And I know you will think I must have gone mad, but it actually worked, Jonathan. You have to see this with your own eyes. 2 months after my visit there, I kicked the insulin and I am off metformin. Please find my blood tests over the past 60 days attached to the email. You must have my old ones on file. My jaw absolutely dropped. How could someone who was with more than 1 foot in the grave become healthier than a horse in 6 months? Well, according to him, the Raika tribe in Rajasthan, India happened. I decided this will be my last Hail Mary. So, as you can imagine, I just had to go and see it all with my own eyes. Now, please be warned, because now things will get absolutely crazy. After a 34-hour-long journey by plane and a dangerous 2 days walk through the dark jungle, I finally managed to reach the exotic tribe my friend told me about. And what I saw there was absolutely incredible. I had just landed in the middle of the healthiest people on the planet, with old and young men and women looking amazing, buzzing with energy, farming, hunting, and gathering, all while they were all over 60. But as I sat there with my guide, watching them carry on with their lives, I didn't see any sick or disabled tribesmen. I mean, just by sheer logic, in a community this large, or over 600 members, things like that happen, right? That's what we are told in medical school. I had to get answers. My guide went ahead and approached the village's spiritual leader and asked for permission for me to step foot on their holy grounds. Outsiders were never welcomed unless the Swami accepted the visit. I began to wonder if I would even get a chance to come back to the States and share my findings. Luckily, after my translator used every bit of leverage he had with the tribesmen, he agreed to have a talk. As I opened my mouth and I slowly explained why I was there and how I found out about them, I felt like I was slowly melting away. My mouth became bone dry and I had to sit down. I took out my blood sugar meter and I pricked my finger instantly as the Swami looked at me almost with pity in his eyes. My blood sugar was 180, so I was frantically going through my backpack for my insulin shot when he took my hand to stop me. He signaled one of his younger apprentices, and he immediately showed up with a small clay pot with a brownish-green, sludgy-looking mixture. He gave a spoonful of the mud-tasting mixture that made my hair stand up on the back of my neck. In less than 5 minutes, I felt better than I did when I had arrived amongst the Raikas. I checked my blood sugar again, and it had magically dropped to a level I hadn't seen in such a long time, 107, in the middle of nowhere. And with zero access to modern medicine, this Swami used nature as its teacher and succeeded. At that time, I just simply couldn't explain it. But this thing aside, something else puzzled me even more. How come they were all so healthy? And I mean each and every one of them. Normally, we'd swear up and down that if you are overweight, you will get type 2 diabetes, right? Well, the tribesmen came in all shapes and sizes. They were not all supermodels, as modern standards say you should be if you wanted to be the picture of health and wellness. I was desperate to know if it was genetic or maybe something else. So I've spent the next few weeks getting closer and closer with the tribe Swami. I was glad to share my medical knowledge and teach him various simple emergency procedures, like how to mend a broken foot or how to sterilize a wound. I even came bearing gifts like pure alcohol for disinfecting wounds. But for each procedure I showed him, he had a better one. I wanted to ask about that night without seeming disrespectful. It seemed nuts to me, so I showed him pictures of what type 2 diabetes does. Amputations, dry and flaky leg skin, obesity. I also tried to explain in short what type 2 diabetes does inside the body, or at least what we were taught in medical school. Folks, he knew exactly what I was talking about. He told me that once every 2 to 3 months, outside of the rainy season, there are people coming in with helicopters, or the metal bird in the sky, as he called it, and who looked just like me, who asked for the mixture and brew I was given that very night. In exchange, the pact was that they are left alone to govern themselves and follow their own traditions. I explained that they never told us about it, that hundreds of millions of people suffer from what I have, that they die in agony, helpless. Luckily for me, the Rikas respect all life, and they believe it is a sin to see suffering and not intervene. So, hearing this story and not sharing the secret with me to bring it to the world would make the Swami not only lose his position in the eyes of the tribe, but also in the eyes of their gods. The ritual was based on a secret recipe which has been in his family for generations. Your disease stands no chance in the land we live on. Our herbs and plants have been growing here for thousands of years, as a gift from the gods, the Swami said. As I stood there by the fire talking to him, I began to wonder, how can I test whether the holy man is telling the truth or not? Could it all be so simple? Just a strange ritual and some plants to treat blood sugar spikes and insulin resistance? Or the explanation was indeed more scientific and the lack of type 2 diabetes amongst the tribesmen was a direct result of their exquisite genetics? I was intrigued, and I just couldn't wait to get my hands on the recipe as soon as possible and get back to our high-performance lab to break it down and understand why and how it works. And I won't lie, with the prospect of zero side effects, this solution made me dream of a world without big pharma fat cats hunting down innocent men and women for sport. Now, before sharing with me the specifics of the ritual, the Swami said I had to go through the whole process there for a full moon cycle. Basically, daily, he would come out of his tent with a ready-made drink and a weird colored brownish paste that I would have to take before bed. This potion was brewed from both dried and fresh plants, which the Swami gathered from the deep jungle around the village. Of course, I began to track everything in a journal. For the first week or so, I didn't see any major change. My blood sugar was still spiking up 200 at times and making me extremely dizzy. But I felt like I had more energy in the first part of the day, and that was absolutely amazing, because I was definitely not a morning person before this. So something was happening in my cells. In the beginning, my fasting blood sugar was already at 96, which was the lowest it had ever been for the past years. And as the days continued to go by, any doubts I had quickly vanished. And then soon, I noticed that the dad body I was used to was actually starting to slim down, and the beer belly was slowly but surely vanishing. After a while, the village people had a feast, and while it was customary to chew on sugarcane after the meal, I had avoided that due to my condition. But I decided to give it a go and have a treat. I took my blood sugar before it was 97 in the evening, and then I took it again right after chewing through 2 sugar canes. That was already 3 times the amount of sugar a normal, non-diabetic man could have in a day, but for me, that should have been a death sentence. Well, it wasn't. After all that and a full meal, my blood sugar had actually dropped to 95. The following days, it was at 93 after a dinner of honey-glazed wild boar. Then in was at 91 right after another 5 stems of sugarcane. When I checked again after a few more days, it was a stable 90 as I woke up and after all 5 meals we had. And in the end, it was at 89, and it's the same to this day after 1 year since I had my jungle treatment. I could now confidently show my face back home. I mean, I know all the techies in my company considered me mad for taking this trip, but the data I was about to bring was going to shock them to the core. So, for the next few weeks, the Swami carefully showed me the ritual after blessing me, and the gods accepted me as his apprentice. I took rigorous notes about each plant, the peak time for the collection, and the exact geographical locations. I wrote down how to prepare and ferment them to get the paste. I measured the water temperature for the brews. I covered my ground perfectly. When I finally got down to the last secret herb, I double-checked to see whether I missed anything and immediately rushed back to the States. Back at the laboratory, I immediately had my team start up the AI, who not only compiled every study ever published on all the herbs, but also broke down each of their properties. This work would take a normal human 10 years to compile, and as he was working on past information, newer and newer studies would just be popping up all over the world at the same time. Moreover, this state-of-the-art research tool also translated for me every study ever published. So, with state-of-the-art tools, I was ready for the challenge of understanding why it worked. But would theory be enough? I wanted to put this out with rock-solid proof, something that the medical community could not ignore, and the big pharma legal war machine could not attack or discredit in any way. The gold standard of the medical world, the double-blind, placebo-controlled scientific research. This was the only way to shut their mouth forever and prove that what worked for me will work for other sufferers. First, I recruited 150 participants, ages 45 to 75, both genders. Some of them had pre-diabetes, and some were suffering from blood sugar imbalances for more than 25 years. We invited the most helpless cases into our study, desperate people who were sent home by their doctors time and time again because they didn't know how to treat them anymore. They never dreamed of ever having the option of even lowering their insulin dose, let alone throwing away their meds altogether. But their world and the scientific world was about to change, as everybody was completely surprised when they saw the results of the test. But before I reveal the result, I first want to share with you something very strange, something that led me to the very root of blood sugar spikes. You see, from the initial urine samples taken from the group of volunteers, I found that all of the people who had a blood sugar of over 120 while not on meds had one thing in common. Their urine had the same color. Surely this was not a coincidence, but what was the explanation of all this? Puzzled by this odd discovery, I began to test and compare the urine samples of the volunteers with high blood sugar, on the one hand, with the urine samples from the volunteers with normal blood sugar, on the other. It took more than 2 months to properly analyze and interpret the data of these tests by hand, but in the end, the results were undeniable and led me to an essential discovery on what I believe to be the main factor which deeply affects blood sugar synthesization. You see, what I and my team discovered is that all the volunteers with high blood sugar levels were eliminating through their urine all the necessary anti-type 2 diabetic chemicals that are naturally produced by the body. Hence the same urine color, yellow. Now please let me quickly explain how you became a type 2 diabetic in 3 unfortunate but easy steps. But first, imagine your body is like a busy intersection on Christmas Eve. Everyone is out shopping, the roads are a mess as usual, but to that we add a complete power outage in the city. All lights are out, and no policeman is there to ease the chaos that is about to unleash. Cars are honking, people are screaming at each other, stress, despair that you've been stuck in traffic starts to kick in. If you are a type 2 diabetic, well, this is how your cells and organs feel every second of every day. They are waiting for a policeman who never comes. Step 1. Now, let's take that very real situation and add in a bit of simple medicine in the mix so you understand whom you can blame for all of this. Now, in all of this mess, who's the policeman? Vasopressin is a regulating substance that will act like a green light signal. It will let through, down to the kidneys, the substances that need to get peed out as waste, such as toxins, while keeping inside your body the vital substances that you actually need, including insulin. As you know, when your body has trouble creating or using insulin, your blood sugar levels get high. Step 2. Imagine what happens without our policeman, the vasopressin. Glucose, toxins, nutrients, insulin, all mixed together, taking wrong turns because there's nobody to direct them. Accidents and blockages happen. In other words, chaos. Step 3. This is what you would never want in your body. High traffic one moment, blockages the next. So what happens when you have little to no vasopressin at all in the brain is that you're peeing out vital substances like insulin, while toxins or sugars stay in your body. In order to tell you're running out of vasopressin, you need to only think about your peeing schedule. Do you go often? Most people pee out 1 to 2 quarts of urine a day. People with type 2 diabetes can pass between 3 and 20 quarts a day. When your body stops producing it, you pee constantly, and the first sign that you eliminate your insulin through the pee lies in its color. So, the cause for having blood sugar imbalances is not bad genetics or caused by eating tons of sweets as you were falsely led to believe, but something else, which can be easily fixed. That is your body's incapacity to produce vasopressin. The good news is that there is a certain natural ingredient which can actually speed up production and help your body prevent you from peeing out your insulin. The problem is, you'd have to move to Rajasthan, India to be able to eat it. But don't worry, I'll tell you in just a minute how you can solve this problem. Want to know if you're dealing with vasopressin deficiency? This quick and easy test that you can do at home will tell you everything. Just go to the toilet like you would normally do. And if your urine is a pale yellow color, then the verdict is you are peeing away precious insulin. If it also fills the toilet bowl with a sweetish smell, then I'm willing to bet solid cash on that. As this was the exact same urine color and odor our volunteers from the test had. But here's the sad fact. Most people are never diagnosed with it, and most doctors won't think to test for it because excessive peeing and dehydration is marked down as one of the symptoms of having type 2 diabetes. But the ugly truth is that this pee symptom is actually hiding the real root cause. If untreated, lack of vasopressin can lead to convulsions and even coma or cardiac arrest. One study even proved that most doctors may make a life or death mistake when trying to revive a type 2 diabetic patient who had a cardiac arrest. Normally, any doctor is taught to push EPI in your bloodstream in order to revive you, when in fact, that is actually okay only for healthy adults who do not have a vasopressin lack. They would have to actually save you by pushing vasopressin, but that is not something that's well known or even studied in medical school as of now. And that's why, as long as you are leaking the nutrients or any other crucial substances, no matter how much you increase your insulin dose, it will be absolutely impossible for your body to retain the amount needed because you're dealing with a leak. It's like trying to inflate a slashed-up tire. Or better yet, like trying to fill up a bucket with a big hole at the bottom. You pour in all the expensive meds and all the latest shots, but the hole is there, and everything will spill no matter what. So what do you do when you see a leaky faucet? You fix it, right? But before I reveal the simple and easy way you can easily unlock your body's true potential and undo years of damage to it, let me first do a quick recap. Because there's not enough vasopressin to lead the way and show your body substances, nutrients, and toxins where to go, your kidneys have no idea what they need to let through. So you continuously pee out insulin, causing your blood sugar to go haywire because the insulin that was supposed to break it down is long gone in your toilet bowl. You can see this process with your own eyes by simply doing a visual inspection of your urine's color at home. The lighter it is, the more insulin you leak. And that's why you can't have a normal life and why your health has been continually deteriorating. Because for decades, without you even knowing, You've been leaking through urine what you always needed: vitamins, minerals, nutrients, and even hormones like insulin. Basically, by pumping yourself up with meds and synthetic insulin shots, all you did until now was get some very expensive pee because they all just pass right through you. Not before destroying other organs on the way down because of dozens of side effects. The end result? Constant, useless visits to your doctor as you feel worse and worse, loose feeling in your limbs, get dizzy, and have to rush in bathrooms to secretly shoot yourself up with insulin. Obsess over your blood sugar and prick yourself every 2 hours, just in case the dressing of that vapid salad you had for lunch had sugar in it. And now you have to get a new shot to manage it. All that while getting fatter, getting judged, and feeling less and less like an independent, dignified human being. Now, getting back at the secret Indian blood sugar recipe and the test I performed on more than 150 volunteers between 45 and 75 years old, it contained a couple of super powerful ingredients, including the sacred plant of the Indian tribe, which practically sealed the leak, and rerouting your insulin away from your bladder to its job, breaking down your sugar levels. And soon, to everyone's surprise, within a month after starting the test, they all had experienced similar results as I had in the Rajasthani jungle, bringing down their blood sugar levels well below 100, finding that they suddenly had something they missed: freedom from the shackles of modern medicine, and absolutely loving their transformation. Before long, word was spreading all over town, and then even people from other states started contacting me. It was just insane. And to the utter astonishment of the skeptics, out of all the thousands of participants who tested this, every single one of them successfully treated their condition. By now, I knew I was on the brink of making the discovery of the century, and that my lifelong dream of finding a working solution to help all find a solution for one of the harshest modern-day conditions on the planet has finally come true. Now, I had two choices: either go back with this amazing discovery to the lab and hand it over to the big pharma bigwigs. And if I did this, I knew exactly what would happen. At least 4 to 9 years of medical trials, followed by the replacement of the natural ingredients with chemical substitutes in order to cut the production costs, which in the end would result in a solution 10 times less effective, but 20 times more expensive than it should be, all in the name of profit, and with a total disregard of what people really need, effectively burying the hopes of everybody. Classic story. We've seen it with any disease they saw as their cash cow, which they have been milking for decades now. Or, option 2, immediately do the right thing and make this amazing discovery available as soon as possible to all the tens of thousands of men out there who desperately need it. As you can imagine, I couldn't let this breakthrough discovery fall into the greedy hands of the big pharma corporations. And that was the point where I realized I needed to take everything I'd discovered, all my years of long research on blood sugar imbalances, the recent discoveries made in the Indian jungle, the substances inside the sacred potion of the Rika tribe, which rebalanced and tuned your hormone production. Everything that was proven to work, not only to me, but to more than 1,450 initial volunteers. Then, I consulted with leading researchers in the field of type 2 diabetic research, doctors with over 30 years of experience from the universities of Harvard and Yale, nephrologists and nutritionists from Cambridge, and ex-colleagues now working for the Yale Diabetes Research Center, and put all this research into one comprehensive, simple way that anyone could follow, in order to quickly and easily lower your blood sugar levels under 100 in the next 30 days. Experience brand new energy, and even drop the weight that's been piling on for years. So, I've teamed up with a buddy of mine who owned a small natural pharmaceutical company in Arizona. We had the recipe, and we had the medical knowledge. The most difficult part was to gather all the ingredients. You see, the market is full of counterfeit, cheap knockoffs of so-called natural homeopathic ingredients. Also, getting them from almost 3 continents was not an easy task to complete. So, we searched the whole world through our scientific connections and contacted only certified producers and verified suppliers, making sure that for our recipe, we used only top quality ingredients with 100% effective properties and no secondary side effects. It was hard and very difficult. We worked day and night testing and then testing some more, making sure that we got the right quantities and the most effective combination of ingredients. But in the end, we did it. Tears of joy filled my eyes as I held in my hand the ultimate blood sugar solution. We called it GlucoFlow. The only natural supplement based on the 3,000 years old Indian blood sugar balancing formula, which has been proven by more than 64,000 Americans to drop your fasting blood sugar under 100 in just a few short weeks. Now, each of these ingredients are powerful vasopressin and insulin stimulators in their own right. But when combined together in the correct way, the result is a type of hyper fine-tuning like you could never imagine. Now, you may be wondering, how does it work? And why does it work so incredibly well? Well, pay careful attention now, because the following information comes from cutting-edge medical research and analysis, tested in more than 12 independent labs in the US and Europe, on a total number of 1,450 brave volunteers. Here's a short and to-the-point explanation of each and every one of the secret ingredients used and how they work. After extensive lab testing, they have proven to be 100% effective only in this formula, especially calculated and adjusted to give the best possible results for your blood sugar absorption. Step 1. Power up your brain, kidneys, and pancreas with fast-absorbing nutrients. We sourced a total of over 19 top ingredients, only from the purest locations, such as the fertile plains of India, the arid Middle Eastern deserts, the cold Siberian tundra, and from the best organic plantations in South America. And because of their natural purity, all the ingredients in GlucoFlow are easier to absorb by your starved organs. You see, for the longest time, you, at your doctor's orders, of course, have been ignoring this desperate cry for help from your organs. And your body, sick and confused as it was until now, doesn't have time to waste with ingredients that are sort of good for it. It needs purity in order to fully absorb each dose and mend the broken bridges in your busy little town. With a commitment to quality and purity, we can guarantee the Indian jungle ritual effects in a matter of days. Step 2. Heal the leak by fully restocking on vasopressin and insulin. After more than 79 trials and experiments, we have found out that the most effective and fast way to do this was with the help of L-taurine. Now, I admit, this powerful substance was not present in the original Rika's recipe, but we wanted to create something more powerful and with faster results than the tribal potion. After all, why not take advantage of all the latest discoveries in the field of medicine that our AI tool could pull up, right? Now, remember how I told you that this state-of-the-art machine can not only find studies, but also translate any study ever published? Well, that's exactly what it did in order for me to find this rare Qatar study that had never been translated to English before our AI did. It proved, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that L-taurine was the best substance we could find in order to fix slow vasopressin production. Moreover, L-taurine supplementation is beneficial to type 2 diabetic complications, including retinopathy, nephropathy, neuropathy, atherosclerosis, and cardiomyopathy. The comparison blew my mind. They looked at camels first. Now, camels are known for being able to retain a lot of liquid without peeing for many days on end in order to survive in the desert. Now, how could an animal have more self-control than us humans? Well, the difference lies in the brains of these majestic animals. Researchers in Qatar found that camels had a high concentration of L-taurine in their blood work, and their brains were basically juicing out impressive amounts of vasopressin that was helping them control when to go number 1. Once the brain receives the stimulus caused by it, it will start producing enough vasopressin to slow down your peeing to a normal level. Your body will then have enough time to actually benefit from the insulin that you're producing, but we're flushing out too quickly before. And that is why this step is crucial. And once this problem is fixed, everything else falls into place like dominoes. Now I know what you're thinking, but I drink energy drinks and they all have L-taurine as an ingredient on the label. Well, that, unfortunately, is synthetic L-taurine that does next to nothing to your brain. It's just a hype ingredient. In GlucoFlow, we added naturally extracted L-taurine from the grass that the Qatari camels are fed. The cost of the extraction process and viable transportation to the U.S. lab we use is over $25,000 for the L-taurine alone. But we were dedicated to replicate the exact results in the studies that proved the RICA type 2 diabetic hack. Step 3. Get your pancreas to produce more insulin. By now, your body is not leaking insulin through the urine anymore. But after years of drugs that did what the pancreas was supposed to do, your organ forgot how to do its job. It got lazy, and going from 0% work to 100% capacity will take a stimulus. Imagine a person in a wheelchair. They wouldn't just get up and start walking after years of never moving their legs, right? Well, that's exactly the case here. Just like how their legs would need physical therapy before they can do their job as before, so does your pancreas. And to help achieve this, we've used the ultra-secret ingredient used by the Swami in his ritual, Gymnema sylvestri. You see, for thousands of years, Swamis in the Rajasthan area scavenged through the dense, sweltering jungles to find this mystical plant. And when they found a small amount, they guarded it like treasure chests filled with coins. Studies confirm it is the superstar ingredient which triggers a massive insulin production. This potent herb will act like a heat missile, triggering a rapid hyperproduction of the hormone your pancreas forgot how to produce. After just a few days, Gymnema is able to increase insulin secretion and sensitivity. But that's not all. It's also called Gurmar, which is Hindi for destroyer of sugar. Similar to its effects on your taste buds, Gymnema sylvestri can also block receptors in your intestines and thus sugar absorption, lowering your post-meal blood sugar levels. Now, if you're on the skeptical side, thinking that no plant can do what your trusted metformin can, well, I hate to burst your bubble, but that time bomb you have sitting in your medicine cabinet was initially an herbal formulation isolated from Galega officinalis. But they realized that to create a natural alternative takes time, lots of money, which would cut into their profit margins. And also, you would highly depend on the herb gathering season, which in turn means that a pharmaceutical giant would be able to produce and sell a medication only 3 months a year. That is not a sustainable business model, which is why they'll never give you anything natural or side effect free. Synthetics will always be cheaper and faster, and more reliable for their pockets. Stage 4. Boost your energy levels and turn your body into a carb-burning furnace. After just a couple of weeks after following this unique solution, you'll be able to see and feel the difference in your energy levels and mood. But that's not all. As your blood sugar plateaus into a healthy range, your whole body will also begin to transform. You'll feel like you are losing weight effortlessly, all while being able to eat everything that you've denied yourself for years. Banaba, also known as Pride of India, is a prized possession amongst the Rikas. The people who manage to find the plant in the damp jungles are held as favored by the gods, and they can participate in the important decisions the tribe gathers for. The leaves contain over 40 beneficial compounds whose ability to lower blood sugar levels appears the most potent and sought after. But here's the trick. Banaba only grows full swing during the rainfall seasons, which means that it is never available year-long, which in turn means that getting a steady supply of it was going to prove as a challenge for anyone who would undertake the effort of bringing it to the U.S. Now, I was in competition for this one with other researchers who were working on a weight loss supplement. New studies apparently came out claiming that Banaba was actually breaking down carbs in the gut at a faster rate than any other weight loss drug before it. So, if I were to claim a side effect for GlucoFlow, it would be a smaller pant size. Next, we add Guggle. Now, despite its funny-sounding name, Guggle was shown in a 2012 study to actually increase vasopressin in the brain, purge fats from your blood, and lower your cholesterol levels rapidly, and reduce both blood sugar and blood pressure. After reading through the studies, one by one, they all made sense. No wonder the Rikas were so healthy. They would drop Google stones in water jugs to infuse the village's drinking water with the nutrients. Step 5. Bulletproof your body against bad cholesterol and melt away extra pounds. What good is taking something that doesn't support your body to produce all the right hormones in the right amounts for your entire life? We asked ourselves the same question, so we decided to make GlucoFlow even more powerful than anything else out there. The first one is a blend of cayenne pepper and cinnamon bark powder. And no, it's not a mix of top-notch spices for a curry, although that is where I drew my inspiration from. Let me explain. I think that the first thing that comes to mind when I say India is actually deliciously spicy food, right? Well, both cinnamon and cayenne are warming herbs that offer weight loss benefits, lower bad cholesterol, and decrease blood sugar. Now, I know that us Americans can eat spicy, but few of us do it daily. And that's why I wanted to spice up the GlucoFlow recipe and bring it even one step closer to India, without the horrible heartburn you may have after dining out at a restaurant. But despite all these extraordinary advantages, GlucoFlow was designed with only one primary purpose: to help you break free from your spiraling blood sugar levels. And each morning, you'll wake up, reach for your blood sugar tester, and breathe a sigh of relief that handfuls of medication and insulin shots are no longer your reality. And the surge of confidence will translate into a better mood, better energy levels, and an unstoppable will to live and prosper. Now that you know all of these, you're probably asking 2 questions. 1. Is there any way I can get my hands on this amazing supplement? And 2. When and in how much quantity should I take these supplements? Well, to answer question 1 is a little bit tricky. You see, the truth of the matter is that getting the right ingredients to make this potent insulin powerhouse supplement is incredibly hard. Also, the people who already tested our product and had success in restoring their balance keep asking us for more bottles for themselves, for their friends and family, emptying our stocks in just a matter of days. Moreover, GlucoFlow is carefully produced only in small batches that take up to 3 months to deliver. This process is essential to assure that the quality of the product is 100% effective. But we don't want anybody to feel wretched anymore. And in the next few minutes, you'll find out how to get your hands on a brand new bottle of supplements as part of our awareness campaign. Regarding how you should take the GlucoFlow supplement, the answer is easy. Take just one supplement on a daily basis for at least 30 days. Every capsule contains the perfect amount of each of the highly absorbable ingredients that I've shared with you inside this presentation. You see, the positive effects inside your body are undeniable. All the scientifically tested ingredients have been especially selected and balanced to increase the vasopressin production in your brain that will plug the leak where all your insulin has been going for all these years. Now, depending on how long you have been on medication for your blood sugar, I cannot guarantee how fast your body will start learning how to produce the insulin on its own. But I can guarantee that GlucoFlow will always be there for your pancreas, serving as its very own training wheels, until it picks itself right back up. You see, in order to repair the internal unseen damages caused to pancreas, and to help your body fully absorb the blood sugar balancing nutrients, it may take some time to see the results. So, as a rule of thumb, after seeing the positive results of more than 35,000 patients suffering from blood sugar imbalances for at least 5 or more years, I recommend to take at the very least 3 bottles, 6 bottles or more to be completely safe, for a period of 60 days, and extend as much as needed. This will absolutely guarantee that you will have a 100% bulletproof, strong, and healthy pancreas for the rest of your life. For the overwhelming number of people who use GlucoFlow, the decrease in blood sugar spikes they experience in their first 30 days is absolutely staggering. They also report that after just 30 days, they are free from painful finger pricks and annoying insulin shots, free from drugs that only hide the symptoms without making you healthier. Free from the daily dread of an early death, amputation, going blind, or other dangerous complications. Free from having to check themselves every night for symptoms of the type 2 diabetic leg. Now, given the fact that GlucoFlow has already been proven to be effective by more than 64,000 red-blooded Americans just like you should be able to understand why, originally, I wanted to sell this program for $297. But, well, I could honestly probably become a billionaire selling this program to the public at that price point, or even for much more. For me, this simply is not about money. And that's why, instead of even asking you to invest $197, or even just $97 for this proven guide that's already being used by more than 64,000 people just like you, if you act today, and only while this website is still up, which may not be for long, you can get the only proven method that will decrease your blood sugar levels for only $69 a bottle. But wait, I'm going to sweeten the deal even more. So please, let me put more money into your pocket right now, because I know how much you want to put an end to this hell you're living in, and how important it is to live your life rather than survive each day. I've set up a discounted package system of 6 bottles of GlucoFlow for you for only $49 a bottle, for a total of $294, which is being offered today for as long as supplies last. It's a screaming bargain. This is your best chance at never having to police yourself for every bite of food you take out of fear that you'll have to shoot yourself up with insulin, don't you think? You also get free shipping on us. But once we run out of bottles, which happens very often, the Buy Now buttons will not be active anymore until we make another batch again, which takes around 2 or even 3 months at least. So, if you're ready to start reclaiming your normal life today, knowing you have no risk, I advise you to click the 6-bottle package and save even more by purchasing multiple bottles at once. This will also protect you from supply shortages and price increases in the future. Eventually, Big Pharma will discover this. As more and more people recommend GlucoFlow to their friends and talk online about the results, soon this secret will be fully blown. And when that happens, I cannot guarantee that GlucoFlow will still be available. I simply cannot compete by myself with multi-million corporations who will do anything to get the monopoly. So go ahead, click below to secure your order right now. Why not profit from this window of opportunity today? Consider this the smallest but the most powerful investment that you have ever done for yourself. Yes, 1 bottle of GlucoFlow will balance your blood sugar immediately, even if you eat the dreaded C-word foods, carbs. 3 bottles will do the same thing, boosting your energy levels and mood, like it did for at least 64,000 people so far. But at the same time, 3 bottles will completely restock your supply of essential vasopressin while increasing your insulin production. But 98% of GlucoFlow users choose the 6 bottles package, and for a very good reason. 6 bottles of GlucoFlow will mean that in just 6 months, besides a constant blood sugar level under 100, your body will be fully trained to produce the essential vasopressin and insulin, but also increase your energy, improve fat-burning processes, and heighten your mind while lowering stress levels. And of course, you'll save money when ordering multiple bottles, and they're all covered by our 60 days guarantee. That's 2 months you don't have to worry about anything, but I'll leave the choice up to you. That's why, if you really want to change your life and choose not just a temporary fix, but a long-term, all-in-one blood sugar balancing and protection solution, this is it. You may be saying, okay, this sounds amazing and I'm interested. How do I get started? Just click the yellow button below after choosing the best package for you, and you'll end up on our secure checkout page. Enter your payment details, place the order, and in 7 days from this moment, you'll get GlucoFlow right at your front door. Click now to secure your package while supplies last. You have absolutely nothing to risk, because you're also covered by our 60 days, 100% money-back guarantee. It works like this. You just click the Buy Now button that's below right now. Experience the incredible results that more than 64,000 people just like you have already experienced. Step out of bed daily without having to worry that you'll fall prey to your invisible enemy. And if you're not happy with your decision to invest for any reason whatsoever, even if you only see that your blood sugar is stuck at an even 100 and you wanted it lower than that, all you have to do is send an email, and I will immediately refund your entire purchase with 0 questions asked. I'm taking all of the risk here, which means you've got absolutely nothing to lose. GlucoFlow is guaranteed to change your life. It will transport you to the past, a past where you were carefree and enjoying life without the shackles of your insulin production or lack thereof. But if you're ready to get started, it is important you act right now. I've made a lot of enemies by putting this presentation on the web. Slimy supplement peddlers who are outraged that people are no longer being scammed into buying their snake oil. Big Pharma's lawyers who are constantly digging through their law books, looking for a precedent to take me down as they buy the time to trademark the Indian recipe for their benefit. They all want this website censored immediately, which means if you come back to this website in a week from now and you find that this presentation has been taken down, I simply won't be able to help you. So this could be your last real chance to finally rid yourself of the demons that have been haunting you for years. But why would you even take that chance or put off this investment? You have absolutely no risk here whatsoever. GlucoFlow has worked for more than 64,000 Americans just like you, and you could be throwing away your meds in just 30 days from now. I mean, ultimately, the choice is yours. This presentation is almost over, so you do need to make your decision quickly. You can just exit this page and continue on with your day. That's absolutely your choice. But if you're unhappy having to inject yourself in dirty public bathrooms, if you're having trouble keeping a straight face in your office meetings as you feel your blood sugar spike or drop coming over you, if you know that your life is not supposed to be more scheduled than a maximum security prison, then I have to wonder, what's going to change? What will you do differently so that you no longer feel enslaved to your failing organs? If you don't have a good answer to that, then I think your choice is a really easy one. But if you've stuck around this long, that means that you're the type of person who's smart enough to take the bull by its horns. You see a leaky faucet, you get it fixed. Now, it's time to fix your blood sugar problem. Face this problem head on. Go ahead and click on one of the Buy Now buttons you see below this presentation right now. Try GlucoFlow for yourself completely risk-free. You could be noticing incredible changes within hours and seeing incredible numbers on your blood sugar tester in just a few days from now. Do that, and you will never have to wait for another blood sugar poisonous prescription ever again. And you'll never look at yourself the same way again either, because you'll look in the mirror and see a victor, not a victim anymore. The choice is yours, but you already know what you need to do. Click on one of the Buy Now buttons right now, take your free test run, and completely change your life. Sincerely, Jonathan Garner. Still here? You've probably got some questions, and that's very common. Let me take a few moments to answer some of the most commonly asked questions about GlucoFlow. How is GlucoFlow different? Inspired by the Raikas of Rajasthan and their camels, this is the product of 3,000 years of popular wisdom and pure scientific basis. Before I developed this formula, I looked at the other products out there, and I saw huge problems with every one of them. And here's why. First, most other alternatives have no bioavailability certifications. Cheaper supplements are that way because they don't care where their labs source the ingredients from. They have no idea when they are picked and how they are stored and extracted. We came in with a state-of-the-art German-quality AI, which analyzes all of the geographical areas we can source our prime ingredients from and when the peak picking season is for each plant. We blend cutting-edge technology with pure natural wisdom that will intuitively solve your problems. Is it safe? Absolutely. GlucoFlow contains only 100% natural and safe ingredients. The content of every batch is tested at my own facility and then tested again for quality and purity in an outside third-party laboratory. And again, my formula contains none of the toxic elements you'll find in lots of other so-called health products. GlucoFlow is sugar-free, soy-free, and dairy-free. I'm putting my reputation on the line with this product so that you can be sure I go to great lengths to make sure that every bottle is absolutely safe. I made a pledge when I developed GlucoFlow. I will never sell anything that I wouldn't personally recommend to a patient. But of course, as a physician, I know that no supplement works for everyone. There's always a very small segment of the population who may be allergic or who can't tolerate certain ingredients in supplements. If you happen to be one of the very small percentage of people this applies to, simply contact our US-based customer support team for an immediate refund. How will I know if it's working? Great question. The best thing about this formula is that you're going to feel it very quickly. Most users report feeling a distinctive noticeable energy change within an hour of consuming. It may take longer for some than others, but it's a feeling you're going to want again and again. You'll notice an immediate stabilization of your blood sugar issues. You'll feel better as soon as you open your eyes in the morning, and after lunch, you'll instinctively reach for your insulin shot and remember, hey, I don't need that anymore. I recommend taking your blood sugar every 6 hours while you're awake for the first month and keeping a journal. Trust me, you'll feel like framing it when you see the results. How do I use GlucoFlow? Now, this is the best part because it's just incredibly easy. It takes literally not even more than 1 minute out of your day. You simply take one in the morning after breakfast and one right after lunch, and you'll be as good as new in a few short weeks from now. What was the name of the tribe you visited? The Rika tribe is an incredibly traditional and wise folk who are led by their 95-year-old Swami, who is both their doctor, mayor, and their spiritual leader. Their intuitive medicine inspired the all-natural formula of GlucoFlow, and we're committed to preserving it by only sourcing the ingredients through reputable suppliers who understand that nature has its rules. Click the button below and find out how you too can benefit from this great formula for a limited time only, while herb picking season is still ongoing. It has been a pleasure spending this time with you today, and I hope you'll take action today. Just click the button below so I can get started on personally transforming your health and your energy. For your health, I'm Jonathan Garner.